Today is the day that, as a historical Total War fan, I have been waiting for far too long. Like many others, I kind of felt disconnected with the Warhammer series. In all honesty, I felt a little let down that it took so long for another historical Total War game to surface. Furthermore, since Shogun 2, I have found it challenging to rediscover my once great love for the series, and instead of playing Rome 2 and Attila, I often find myself returning to the older games such as Medieval 2, Napoleon and Empire. So in this video I will attempt to begin my journey on the road back to loving what used to be one of my favourite series of all time. My name is Alex, and today I am going to take a quick look at the history surrounding the newly announced Total War 3 Kingdoms, followed by some of my own views on the announcement and a little bit of analysis kind of thing. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Total War 3 Kingdoms content, and leave a like if you enjoy. Also, please remember to comment any suggestions or anything I've got wrong. I don't mind criticism, and yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. So the first thing to say about the Three Kingdoms is it is set in China. That's pretty obvious. But what isn't so obvious is that the period they have chosen and the start date they have chosen for the game is 190 AD. But my understanding of the period was roughly between 220 and 280 AD. So although on the face of it there is little difference between these dates, historically they're like two very different stories. So what I'll do now is I'll just run through and summarise the events very quickly. I will be missing things out here. If I do make any mistakes, I apologise, but please do obviously comment and let me know what you think in the comments below. So in 189 AD, Emperor Ling died and his oldest son Liu Bian took to the throne. Ultimately, following much betrayal and chaos, Liu Bian was replaced with his younger brother, who became known as Emperor Xian, or it's spelled Xian. So the man that put him there, though, was a guy called Dong Zhao, who was essentially the man with all the power. He was like the puppet master, and he was hated. He was a tyrant. These events sparked uproar around China and led to a powerful coalition, including members such as Yan Shao, Cao Cao, CAO, and Sun Jian. As you can tell, my pronunciation of words I'm unfamiliar with is very poor. So even though the coalition forces captured Liujiang, the greed and selfishness of the individuals involved led it to collapse. So the coalition was doing okay, but there was lots of greed, there was lots of backstabbing, and the coalition just fell apart. So following the coalition falling apart, Dong Zhao went back to ruling China as a tyrant, but it didn't last long as he was soon assassinated. So the period following this was dominated by inward fighting and espionage as the Han dynasty slowly crumbled and key figures sought personal gain. So it's really important just to mention that the Han dynasty throughout this period, the main dynasty, the one that the king, Emperor Xian, is he's head of the dynasty, that is collapsing. Not the king, the emperor, but that dynasty is collapsing during this period, and there's all this inward fighting. What's also crucial to know is the infamous military general Lu Bu was prominent throughout this era, up until his execution in 199. I think he's also present in the trailer. I think I can see him in the trailer, and I think he'll probably be in the game because he's just so notorious for how dangerous he was and how scared others were of him. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give some thoughts on the period. So as we can see from what I've just told you about the period, it's very much it's a lot like chaos. There's a coalition that's disjointed against this guy Dong Zhao, who wants to rule China on his own as a puppet state. So the coalition's disjointed and collapsed, and he's ruling as a tyrant, and he's actually assassinated. So it's a very interesting period. And as someone who is interested in learning about new cultures and events, Total War 3 Kingdom provides an opportunity to immerse myself in a period of history I was largely unaware of even before today. So even spending a couple of hours on the research for this video, I have come across so many new fascinating characters and events, too many that I could put in this video, and actually otherwise it would be too long. What I will do actually is I'll leave some links in below to a guy's channel. I've watched the video, it's very interesting. He's done a couple of videos on this period, and it's much more detailed and much more kind of tailored to learning the history of it. I'm just trying to kind of do the game as well. So yeah. So I've come across so many new fascinating characters and events, so that is a real bonus for me personally with releasing a game on something completely different which they've not done before. If I was to speculate on what the gameplay is going to be like, I'd say it's got really good potential. I'd like to see focus on the key individuals involved. in the period, such as Lubu, to add other dynamics to the game. And the time period has huge potential for a dynamic and interesting campaign, whether you take the side of Dong Zhao or one of the forces of the coalition. I'll be interested to see how far the game stretches as well, because like I said, I didn't expect it to start then. When I first saw the title, I thought more of the traditional Three Kingdoms, which I knew very little about, quite vaguely. But yeah, we'll see though. We'll see how long it's going to stretch for. We'll see when it goes till, and when obviously we'll get more information in the coming weeks. So in addition to this, the choice of this period in Chinese history has already opened up speculation. I've seen a little bit of speculation of where there could very easily be DLC. So we're talking about the Yellow Turban Rebellion, or to what I've discussed throughout this video is what most people consider or refer to as the Three Kingdoms, perhaps beginning in at 205 or maybe 220, we'd have to see. I've actually written a brief history on the years 205 to 280 this afternoon, but I think I decided not to put it in this video because I thought I'd save it for another one to try and keep this one as short and compact as possible. The only possible criticism I could have of this period is that it does focus solely on China, and obviously just the single nation of China. And although I love Shogun 2, which solely focused on Japan, part of me had hoped for something a little bit bigger with a little bit more diversity in the nations. However, that really is nitpicking. And I'm very happy and interested to see what they do with the game. So yeah, this has been quite a short video, but I'd like once again like to apologise for my pronunciation of certain names and things like that, and I hope you've enjoyed and actually learnt something if you weren't too familiar on the period. I'll leave links in the description to relevant channels and websites, and this isn't a uni essay, so I'll admit I did use Wikipedia for parts of this. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe if you want to see more, and like the video, and I will see you in the not too distant future for possibly some more Total War 3 Kingdoms.